Welcome to the Cashflow Project podcast. Are you looking to better your financial situation by increasing your cash flow? Too busy to hunt for real estate deals or don't know where to start? Then you're in the right spot. Join us as we dive in and talk about investing for cash flow using multifamily real estate.
Welcome to the Cashflow Project podcast. I'm your host, Steve Furos with Tri-City Equity Group. So excited. Today we've got Joe Downs. He's the CEO of Belrose. He's got over 20 years of experience in commercial real estate, been through a couple of different market cycles. He oversees all company operations, directly supervises acquisitions, and thrives on the art of the deal, finding daily fulfillment and helping investors build financial security and improve their lives. And their focus is on self-storage. So I know it's going to be a great podcast. Joe's drawn to lesser known industries and he excels in the financial securities, mortgages, and real estate. It's a lifelong Philadelphia area resident. And he grew up as an Army brat. So I know a lot of our listeners are military or ex-military. And now he's a family man. So of course we're recording this right through the holidays. And I know hopefully he got a chance to spend great time with his family, but we're excited to dive into his experience in business and real estate and how that can apply to you. So Joe, welcome to the show.
Steve, thanks so much for having me and appreciate it. Looking forward to having a conversation with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd love to get a little bit of your background. Obviously, people can get hung up on titles. And again, we were talking a little bit off camera. It's easy to get caught up on, hey, the success is, oh, hey, you're the CEO of this or the CFO of here or COO or whatever. But give us a little bit of your backstory. Like, how did you get started into self-storage and where you are as a CEO now at Belrose? What was the journey? Was that always your goal was to be an executive? And did your family have a background in real estate? And fill us in.
None of the above. In fact, I'll start with the end, or not the end, but since you harped on titles and executive, my goal, I learned I was the CEO with my partners when I walked in a couple minutes late to it wasn't a traction meeting we were having, it was Pinnacle, similar type of business acumen or business discipline, I guess is a better way to say it. And I walked in late and they're like, you're going to be the CEO. I was like, excuse me, what? That was, I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe. I'm not even sure. I've been learning how to be a CEO. Probably didn't start out that great, but I'm trying to get better. And I've joined workshops to learn how to be a better leader and stuff like that. But the answer is a hard no. That was not the journey I set out on. That's not where I saw myself. But someone has to do it to actually lead the company, especially as we have multiple companies. My journey, you'll even laugh now that I just said that. I don't even think I realized I was an entrepreneur until a couple of years ago when I looked backwards. I think Steve Jobs says that you can only connect the dots looking backwards, right? So when I connect them now, I go, oh, look at me. Look at that. I'm an entrepreneur. Didn't realize it all this time. Now, my start was, I'm not going all the way back to Army brat, but yes, I did bump around a little bit as my dad was in the service and then later retired. So I was born at Fort Hood, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And I know where you're sitting, and I also did live in Hawaii because he was stationed at the Schofield Barracks. Actually, those are my first memories of life, so it was cool. It's got its perks, being an Army brat. USAA not being the least of them.
Oh, no shade at Fort Hood, but this duty station, and I'm sure all of the guys listening, it's okay. Would you have rather been out in Schofield?
Yeah, I think Schofield's the only nice base there. I could be wrong. I wasn't in the Army. I was only a brat, but I understand it's one of very few nice bases. Yeah, after we did settle in Philly and I didn't go very far from there, go Birds. I actually went to Villanova University, which is basically half a mile from where I grew up and even closer to where I live now. Embarrassed to admit that. But I had a career as I was a financial advisor. I can't even say career. I was a financial advisor. Realized I didn't want to do it. I'll skip over why. It doesn't matter. But I always had a second job. My second job was, at first it was DJing and then it was bartending.
Nice.
And so the bar I bartended at was a college bar, actually a Villanova bar. And it got shut down. You could probably take a few guesses as to why. And the only way to reopen it and salvage it for the old owners was to sell it to me. So I became the owner. I invested in it. They backed me financially, but I had a lot of money in the line as well. We reopened it as more of a pub, bar and restaurant. So it wasn't a nuisance college bar anymore. And it started off going well, and then it didn't. And that was really my first big failure in life. And this is one of my kind of life codes, if you will. And people say, I don't want to jump ahead to the end. If you're going to ask me what's some advice you want to impart, I'm just going to give it now. You have to mind your kitchen. Where I failed, I knew the front of the house. I knew how to run a bar because I'd done it for so long.
Mhm.
I even though I was a bartender, I was the night manager. So I knew the only thing I didn't do was order, which how hard is that? And so I knew the front of the house. The front of the house was great. I had no idea how to run a kitchen. I outsourced it to the chef, thinking he'll run this kitchen like I run the front of the house, and everything will be honky dory. And the food was great, but there was no accountability on his part. Not only that, food was walking out the back door with the cook's bags, and the food was great, but we had a ton of waste, and it just wasn't run like a business. And I had no idea what was going on back there. Excuse me. I wasn't paying attention to it. So tell people you have to mind your kitchen, whatever your kitchen is, whatever business you're in, if it's multifamily, if it's storage, if it's a bar and restaurant. And by the way, I have the utmost respect for any restaurateur who not only has had a restaurant for a long period of time, but multiple locations. Those people walk on water, in my opinion. That is one of the toughest businesses to be in. And the fact that they do it successfully, I have the utmost praise for them. I failed 11 months, didn't even make it a year. Was pretty down, dark moment in my life, but this is where I get to invoke Rocky. It's not about how hard you get hit, knocked down. It's about getting back up, right? I didn't have a choice. I had to get up, and I had rent to pay, and I had bills to pay, and eat, and had to move on. And I think if you keep an open mind, there's the cliche, if one door closes, another one opens. Yeah, only if you have your eyes wide open. And I always wanted to be in real estate. And I certainly didn't go from the bar to real estate. I went from the bar to selling advertising on talk radio, which is the natural progression from bar to real estate. You first step there.
Yeah.
But I had my eyes open, and I had my desires ready. My heart, if you want to say it that way, was ready to receive the next thing. And I just kept chipping away at paying down debt and paying the bills. I was broke, by the way. I lost $100,000 in the bar. And then along came a client. That client was called Real Estate Riches, and they wanted to advertise on the radio. We were a conservative talk radio station. And we had the right demographics for who they were trying to reach, which was the top demo for them was males age 45 to 55. And other than the sports talk radio station, the conservative talk radio station they were the top two for that demographic. And they were advertising, and I'm going to date myself a little bit here. Steve, you look a little younger than me, but we didn't have webinars back then. We didn't even have podcasts, by the way. So kudos to you for hosting a podcast for people to listen to all this stuff. We didn't have that, right? You had to, so they advertised on the radio to reach their potential customers. And then everyone had to show up at a hotel on a certain night at a certain time to see a live webinar, what we called a seminar back then. And they were teaching people how to buy, rehab, and flip real estate. And it cost $5,000. Buy, rehab, and flip, or rent, or whatever. This was even before all the BRRRR or whatever the acronyms that they have out there today now. It was just we were a simple business back then, Steve. It was you flipped or you rented. You didn't get into the other stuff, which is interesting. I'm not knocking it. It's all interesting. I love the creativity in the space, but that's all we had back then. And so I didn't even have the $5,000 to put together. It took me a couple months of them as my client to put together $5,000 to buy their course and then take it. And so that's how I started, but I was broke. So I started wholesaling. And then another client came along, and it was a developer, a multifamily developer, and they wanted to advertise their multifamily development to our demos. And they were trying to reach the older audience then. And we definitely had the older audience as the conservative talk radio. And I got friendly with the broker. And I used to, instead of going out on sales calls, I would just go over to his office and shoot the shit and talk. And we became very friendly. In fact, I still have my real estate license, and he's still my broker today. That's where I hang my license out. Anyway, he said, look, I got a buddy who needs a sales guy to raise money for 1031 exchanges as syndications. And I was like, I don't know what any of that means, but it's real estate and I love it. So he needed a sales guy. And by the way, they were sold as securities. So he needed a sales guy with a securities license who knew commercial real estate. I'm like, I'm a sales guy. I have a securities license. You can teach me the commercial real estate. So I left my radio sales job. Still, by the way, was bartending at a different bar one night a week. And I'm still out on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, looking for real estate in Philadelphia to either wholesale, or I think by that time I maybe had a partner and we were buying and flipping. And now I've got another job, full-time job. I find myself with 3 jobs now. And the writing's on the wall, Steve. You're an entrepreneur, but I don't know. I'm just a guy. I'm a dumb guy who thinks that every 30-year-old should own a bar, right? Because we should. That's who you're talking to here, by the way. So everything I say, you should consider the background of the source here. But I just kept punching away at it, and I did very well with the commercial real estate syndications. But then 2008 and 9 happened, and that directly, and when I say directly, 100% directly affected our business. I was raising money from people who had sold property and were trying to do a 1031 exchange into commercial real estate, just so now they could collect the coupons, if you will, that our company buying the multifamily or office, whatever, would buy and manage for them and take them in as TICs or tenant common investors. No one could get financing at the end of 07 and 08. So no financing, no buyer, no seller, no exchange. You can see the domino effect here. The tenant common exchange, as done as securities, that business went from $4 billion in equity to $250 million in 1 year. So it was just decimated. So the writing was on the wall. So I had to go find something else. And I ended up at a tax lien seminar in Philadelphia, met a guy who became my partner in my next business. Or really I guess the bar was my first business, but my first real business. And that was buying distressed notes. So we were buying charged off second mortgages, residential. Everyone told us we were nuts. And we started to build a nice business over the years. And then the CFPB came in and told the banks, you could sell this, but here's all the things that are going to happen to you if you do. And if you don't do this, then it just became onerous and not worth it for them. So by 2015, 16, we're out of business again. And
You're riding the roller coaster.
I'm not going to keep referencing Rocky, but you can see the pattern here. So,
Hey, I'm going to pause real quick just for our listeners. Guys, if you are not listening to Joe's story here and you look, it's easy to see the finished product. Okay. Whenever you're networking or you're at a conference or you're at a seminar and you see somebody on stage, right? And you see the finished product, or at least just a stop along the journey, right? Because they're working through it just like you are, right? Don't assume that you're always on the mountaintop. Like listening to Joe's story, right? Like there's times that I'm sure all along that journey and really the thing that I wrote down was like the winding road, right? There's plenty of times where, hey man, I'm having success. I'm here. I'm in it. I'm doing it. And something happens and you get taken out, right? Like and a lot of times it's market factors, things that are under your control, right? And so it's okay, but Joe continues on. And so just as a word of encouragement to our listeners, to the people tuning in, if you're going through one of those challenges right now, and for a number of sectors of the industry, rates are high. They've been high for a long time. I work with a ton of agents. And they're like, hey, Steve, this last year has been brutal. This last stretch has been really difficult. I'm with you. Please take away from our conversation here today, like I said, as a word of encouragement, this is not the end of the world. If you can press through, if you can learn, if you can take things away, if you got to get a job tending bar or working, I was there too. Trust me, Joe and I have actually a pretty similar story there. Don't give up.
And the best part about sorry to cut you off. The best part of being in real estate is there's so many things you can do in it.
Yes.
After I got our teeth kicked in again, my partner started going to do something else on his own. And because now you're just trying to pay the bills. Thank God we have great jobs. And I did just that. I started hard money lending, just matching up parties because I know the business. I know how to buy, rehab, and flip. I know that I understand the notes business. I just bought a couple thousand of them over the last prior years. So I know that business. So you to your point, Steve, you not only are you going to face challenges, you can't let them get you down. Sometimes that does mean you need to start over, but look at the tools that you have acquired along the way through your 100%. Journey, through the winding road, and figure out how to use them. And my gosh, in real estate, now that I was in it, there's so many things I also went back to flipping houses. So in 2016 and 2017, maybe even started 2015, I don't remember. It's blurry at this point, but I was flipping houses again to make money. I was hard money lending to make money. And by the way, I think by 2018, I had built up my hard money lending business. So I was making 125, 150 grand a year, just arranging loans. I'd build up the lenders. I had the matching up lenders with the borrowers. What other business can you do? That was fantastic. Now I could go back to it again if something happens in self-storage, but maybe that's the point here is I did live through, I can tell you how I got into self-storage, but even after I was in it for several years, self-storage faced some headwinds in 23 and 24. But I had all of these tools now and this experience, and I understood, look, this is how we're going to survive this. And we have. We're here. It wasn't fun for 2 years, but we're here. And not only we're here, the wind's at our back again. And I'm already going into new and fun, exciting niches within self-storage. And I tell that to our students all the time because we teach it, is self-storage is what brought you here, but it's all and we love it, don't get me wrong, but it's all of the tangents and the self-storage adjacents, if you will, that make it so much more fun, like boat and RV facilities and industrial outdoor storage and small bay flex and pro storage. And it's all because I understand the fundamentals and how to identify and underwrite, source, evaluate, underwrite self-storage, because there are all these principles are applicable to everything that we're doing in all the adjacents. But quickly to tie it off for you, we faced headwinds again. I just told you I started hard money lending and flipping houses again, and then a lot, probably because we spoke at a lot of conferences for alternative investments, because we were one of the leaders we became one of the leaders in the distressed charged off second mortgage space. I must have been on email list, and I got an email from this guy, Scott Myers, and he's the original self-storage educator, guru, whatever the marketing says. And the subject of the email says real estate with no toilets, tenants, and trash, which is not entirely true, but it got me to open the email. It is when he applies his qualifiers to it, right? So it's no tenant emergencies, the storage unit doesn't get beat up on the way out like a house does, whatever. And certainly no toilets, right? We don't have toilets in our which is a euphemism for it's toilets, it's roofs, it's basically emergencies. We don't have emergencies. But that's not what really got me. That got me to open the email. What blew my mind about self-storage, but I knew this email came in probably 2016 or 2017. When I tell you I knew nothing about self-storage, I knew nothing. If you told me all the commercial real estate conferences I was ever at, all the alternative conferences I was at, it was a lot. I was probably in Vegas 30 times over 5 years. No one was there from self-storage. I didn't know anything about it. If you asked me what it was, I would have said, I don't know, those places that look like they have a lot of garage doors that are multicolored, like orange and red and green. I have no idea. That would have been my answer. I never rented it, never used it, still have never rented self-storage.
Yeah.
So the bottom of the email, there was one line in it that said, 80% of all self-storage facilities are owned by mom and pop investors. And I went, what? That blew my mind. So because I'm coming out of distressed debt, by the way, I still have that distressed debt business. It was just, we weren't doing any business for a couple of years, but coming out of it, whatever, but not really being in it day to day, but having been in it, I was like, whoa, I know that this secondary market for mortgage notes is the Wild West. It's all mom and pop investors. And it's the Wild West from a information fragmentation, dislocation standpoint. It's not an efficient market. So to find out that 80% of self-storage facilities are run by mom and pops, I was like, that has to be the same case here. Now I'm interested. Are you telling me I can get into commercial real estate where I can I'm not fighting the elites, the giants, the players that have been there forever. It's mom and pops. That's what interested me. And he puts on a 3-day seminar, and I went to the seminar. I didn't go right away. I waited till it came to Philly, and then I didn't have any excuses. I bought his at-home course, loved it, was blown away by it. I was like, I got to figure out how to get in self-storage. Then he came to Philadelphia. I went to the 3-day seminar, and I couldn't sleep that night. And I've never looked back. And I went so we ended up buying into a mentorship program through the Self-Storage Academy. My partners and I, we picked up another partner. Since then, we've acquired 20 facilities. We've got a couple more under contract. We're now building pro storage facilities. We have an industrial outdoor storage facility. We call it iOS, under contract in Pennsylvania, which, by the way, will be my first one in Pennsylvania. We still have never bought a self-storage facility in Pennsylvania. Not because we haven't tried, just I haven't had the luck. Yeah. And we own boat and RV facilities. We own one facility actually up in upstate New York by Fort Drum, which is the most deployed base in the country. And we do valet parking for the troops there because it gets so cold in the winter. So we start the cars and the troops that are deployed. So we're doing almost everything you can do. We're looking at small bay flex in self-storage. So I'm eating the cooking that I'm preaching. And I don't know if that made sense, but you understand what I mean. And we're having a ball doing it. It's so much fun. Awesome. And now I teach it. So I went from student in the audience to on the stage at the academy, teaching it And then also doing, my company does all the fulfillment for the students that actually end up going through the mentorship program. And we're having a blast.
That's awesome. Yeah, and there's so much there just to dive into, kind of you sharing like the background. And this is why I always think it's important, right? Because again, like as I mentioned earlier, right? Like people see the finished product, but they don't see the journey that it takes people to get to that place, right? And even the fact that, hey, you went from student to teaching. Okay, for one, you stepped out, you took the risk, right? There's so much stuff that I want to highlight on here. And I love your reference back to building out, let's say, the tool belt, right? Like I love this about real estate. There's 101 different ways to make money in real estate, guys. Okay, we talked about a few right there. Joe just talked about fix and flip and lending, and now you self storage, and there is so many different ways. You effectively just need to hey, know yourself, know your strengths, and let's get out there and start trying stuff, right? And I'm not saying out there just do it recklessly, but find your niche, find what resonates with you. Right. And I even love that you're teaching now too, and you're having fun doing it, right? Because you're working in your strengths, right? So somewhere along the way, you also, hey, I'm working in the restaurants, I'm bartending, you're doing all this stuff. So guess what? Like you're developing these social skills, the people interaction component, right? Which now comes back full circle to you being able to use this in this setting with working with students now, right? And other clients, let's say in the space, right? You also partner, right? A lot of people are, oh no, I want to do this myself. And this is actually the biggest lesson I think I learned stepping into commercial. In residential, you can run solo, right? Like I also started off wholesaling. I also started off working in the restaurant. So we have a lot of similarities. It's easy to work solo, but to me, it's always a pride thing that keeps people there. So when you step into commercial, when you step into like outside of yourself, then that opens yourself up to more bigger experiences. Like I talked to people, oh, I got 40 single family doors, Steve, but yeah, I can't buy those 50 unit apartment complexes, 100 unit apartment complexes like you got. I'm like, you're doing way more work having 40 single families than I would having a 50 unit apartment complex. It's just a mental gap. And a lot of
40,
times it's
40 roofs versus one.
100%. And it's okay. A lot of times it's a pride thing. And so it's saying, I don't know how to do it all myself. Like you said it earlier, I don't know. I don't know how to do self storage. I don't know anything about it. Okay. Hey, how about you partner with somebody or go learn from somebody else who does know how to do it, right? And now, wow, you marry that together with your existing skill set, your existing tools, and boom, now we're going to have magic that happens. You also mentioned earlier too, paying for education. I see this a lot. I used to be in this camp too, where I don't want to pay however much it is to pay for education, but you'll have no problem paying to go get a degree doing something you're probably not doing anything with.
True, but I would say you're going to pay for it one way or the other.
Yeah.
And you might get lucky and it might not cost you a lot. And I think a lot of people that I see say, oh, I didn't need that. Look at me, I'm fine. Like, I guess your ignorance is bliss because you overpaid for that by 200 grand. And it would have cost you a fraction of that to get educated and learn how to negotiate that deal. And good luck. Or, geez, the students we mentor, the mistakes that they would make, we're talking multi-million-dollar mistakes. And all because they don't make them because they paid for the education, but there are people out there that make them all the time. We buy facilities from them.
Yep.
Because they made those mistakes.
Yep. And then the challenge too is like that. If they're raising capital, now you have somebody else's money that you're making that mistake with. Yeah. I tell people that all the time. It's, hey, look, if it's your own deal, if it's a JV and maybe you have a small partnership, or you're just doing it solo and it's your own capital. Okay. Hey man, do with it what you want. But when you're starting to raise capital and then now it's other people's life energy, right, that they committed to, hey, man, we got to treat that with so much more respect legally and then also just ethically. Hey, like you better know what you're doing. And again, if that is paying for some education to help fast track you, to help avoid, you're talking to somebody like Joe, hey, don't do that. Look, like this, we've made that mistake 15 years ago. Learn from my mistake. And that's well worth the cost of admission, like to whatever it is, right? Again, that saves you the heartache, legal, name it. That's so powerful. And then out of state too, like we get this a lot. So we invest personally out of state. We've been doing that for years. We've owned in multiple states around the country. And I'm just like you guys are mentioning, you're in multiple markets. We get this a lot like locally because we're in Hawaii, like we're thousands of miles away from the mainland, right? And so a lot of times it's, okay, hey, you should invest here. Go where your money's treated best, right? And that's likely not in our home state, like depending on what sector you're in. And so it's okay, if that market is somewhere else, if that's in Tennessee, if that's in Texas or Florida or Arizona or wherever else, go there, look there. Don't be afraid of that. Partner with somebody else who's in there or you have an unfair advantage there in that local market. Like you take the opportunity to do that. Don't be afraid to do that. Again, you touched on a ton of stuff there that I love in your journey. And I really appreciate you taking time and sharing that part of your story. And it's not done yet, right? You're still working. And I love the fact that for one, you're having fun doing it. You're making money. Your students are making money. Your partners are making money. And again, all this time, everybody's adding to their tool belt too, right? Because this may not be the last stop, right, for you or for anybody else that are interacting with. And I love that once you get into this entrepreneur space, once you get into that investing journey, it's like it doesn't stop.
No, and if you have to have that mindset that you're always learning. Remember, mastery is a journey, not a destination. I'm constantly learning. In fact, I'm doing I call it the Storage 100. It's a YouTube series. I had Manus, which is an AI platform, create the series. I guided it with the prompt, but I had to create it. It turns out to 106 days. There's some lives that I do at night in there. And I'm telling you this for a reason. This is not a self-promotion. I am learning through the decks that the AI created for me to present. I'm reading them because I have to present them, but
Right.
I'm reading them going, oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that way. That's a pretty interesting outlook on. I've learned so much. I'm only on, I think we got off here, I'm going to record day 30. There's almost nothing I don't learn every single day from this deck. And even if it's just packaging it differently in a way for me to look at it differently, maybe it's not a new concept, but maybe it's just a way I've never looked at it before. No, you're 100% on point. You constantly have an open mind to be learning because you can't possibly know it all in this industry. You just can't.
No,
in any industry, I should say.
no, yeah. And that's the one thing too. A lot of times I'll share that with folks. It's okay. I'm always very leery of people who, oh, I know it all. And I'm like, oh man, that's dangerous. For one, that's dangerous for you, but that's also dangerous for me because then that means you're not willing to learn. And that's just not a great spot to be in. That's
It's not someone you want to partner with or spend time with because they already
exactly.
know it all.
Yeah, exactly. Then that means your mind is closed. Hey, you know what? Our friendship, our interaction is always going to be limited because then you're telling me, hey, you don't have anything to learn from me. And like
Yeah.
every person is valuable. Joe has lived a life different than me, right? His life experience is different than my life experience. The people that he's met and has helped shape who he is are different than the people that I have met over the years and shaped and all of that kind of good stuff. So there's always there's always an exchange that can happen. And yeah, I would always run from people. No, I know it all. I don't need to. Okay. Do your thing.
They also carry an energy I don't want to be around. It's not a curious energy. It typically is a condescending
Yeah.
energy. And I have no place for that in my life.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. You were touching on AI. How are you guys incorporating that into the things that you're doing now? And I love that what you mentioned there, guys. If you want to learn something, like have to teach it, have to present on it, because you will just look at it differently and take it in differently and process it differently than it is if you're not having to do that.
I couldn't agree more. And so I joined an AI mastermind. It's called Peter Swain Inc. He's an AI guru. I'm not going to give you all of his background, but he's an AI guru. And by the way, maybe one of the most fascinating people I've ever talked to. And while I was in his mastermind, and this is like the risk of self-promotion again, I decided, first of all, this should be a podcast because what we're learning in here, as I'm talking to people at cocktail parties, on the sidelines of my kids' sports games, whatever, it's a wide range of literally, this is what's been said to me. AI is the devil on the one end to, I love AI. It's going to, but I'm scary because it's going to take away our jobs and this and that and whatever. And then you get the doom and gloom on the other end. And it's almost like they met 360 degrees. One's at 359, the other's at 1 or something, but and everywhere in between. And the bottom line is it's not going away. So we have to start leaning into it. So I actually, using ChatGPT at the time, I put together a pitch to pitch Peter Swain to do a podcast with me on AI. And I'm telling you this back to the point you just made, because it forces me to learn more about AI and be inquisitive. And actually, so it's more of I'm the host and I'm interviewing him as the guru, but it's called Successful Idiots if I can promote it. But I get to, I'm forced to really, not only are we using it in our business, but I'm forced to think of use cases for people that aren't using it at all, or try to think about the way they're thinking. And that's really what it is. AI is a thinking partner, and we have to change the way we think about everything. You have to retrain your brain. I walk around our office all the time going, retrain your brain. Don't come to me first. Go to AI first. Find solutions, then come to me. And which one? ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. they're all generally great. If you want to get specific, then yes, I'd have comments on which one, where to go for this or that.
Yeah.
But in general, how are we using it in our business? So I'm going to share things with you that are, I know you're multifamily. They're very similar to what we do in self-storage, right? A lot of what we do is the same, maybe up to 75, 80%. And then that's where we divert, and we have our own lingos and things we look for. And you might be looking for something else. And of course, physically, they're very different in what you do and value add and all that stuff. But let's just start talking about markets. I promise you, in multifamily, you have the need to do market studies and market research and understand the market demographics, particularly if you're going to build. But even if you're going to buy, what you're thinking is maybe a value add opportunity. I'm not sure what you do exactly, Steve, or your listeners, but I'm sure you have both in your listening audience, right? So to do a market study, we call it, for self-storage, where we're looking at the median household income and population and trends and crime and poverty, and for us, the supply index, and then we get into the competitors and what are they charging and how full are they and all that, right? To do that comprehensive analysis, our head of acquisitions can do it in, not the comp part, the competitive part, that he can do in a half hour per deal. A new student takes about an hour. What did we do? We created a GPT and ChatGPT that does everything and thinks about it in exactly the ways we think about it, because we loaded it up with a ton of our market studies. And then also we prompted it with instructions to do it the same way every time. And if this, then that, and if that, then this, and if this, right? So all of our logic is in there. By the way, that's constantly learning too, constantly gets updated and improved. But now a market study, which we give to our students as well now, takes not a half hour to an hour, but 5 to 10 seconds for the GPT to spit it out to us. Complete with, did you check this? I think this is a concern. Go ask this, do that. Complete with a set of instructions and a checklist at the end to make sure that you have to then go do your human, if you will, follow-up, because we do need to dot I's and cross T's. We don't trust, it's a trust but verify. But think about the amount of deals and markets that we can go through, or have the proverbial intern or whatever, or a VA overseas, actually go through these markets and these deals in record time, sifting through to get to the ones that we really want to take the further deep dive into. That's just one use of AI in our business that saves on a weekly basis 20, 30 hours a week. It's an entire employee's time a week that it saves. That's just one use case for it. And I could go on and on with others. And then you said you have people listening probably market for investors, right? When they raise money for deals, or
Sure. Yep. Of course. Yep.
How about you take one piece of content? You could take maybe not this podcast, Steve, but you could take a podcast about raising capital, right? You ever interview with somebody who's raising capital? You could take that podcast. There are AI tools like Weavy. You can put that podcast into. It can create for you all of your social media marketing. And then there are AI agencies you can use to actually do the marketing for you and create the content, post it. It's just, there's no end in sight to the use cases. Now, that is not to say we're trying to put people out of jobs or work. That's not even the point of our podcast. The point of our podcast is it's all about leverage. It's about how to use AI as a thinking partner to help you take what's inside of you, the goodness, the greatness that's inside of you, and replicate it and duplicate it for you. You may not have to hire other people. You may save on costs and do all that stuff, but it's not about, we're hopeful it doesn't put people out of job. In fact, one of the taglines we have is AI is not coming for your job. It's just coming for your excuses. So all of the things you didn't have time to do before, you have time to do now. Yeah. Now I'm going to give you a warning label, word of caution here. If you are a true serial entrepreneur, which I have learned over the years that I am, you do need to put guardrails on yourself with AI, because I went through a period where I didn't go to bed before midnight because my mind was blown away at all the things it was doing for me and things I could get it to do for me and co-create ideas, whether that was for the education or for self-storage or for our podcast. But just be careful, set your alarm, go to bed don't break your sleep habits. I had to walk myself back from it because it's addictive once you start using it. But it's addictive in at least it's addictive in a positive way, which is helping you get more done as an entrepreneur. And that it's the entrepreneur's best friend, in my opinion. It's the greatest employee intern you'll ever come across if you just learn to embrace it conceptually and as a thinking partner, and then start to use it.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I'm thinking like proto principle, right? Like 80-20 rule. It's okay. We're still so early on. Guys and ladies, if you're listening in, again, 80% of the people are not going to do anything with it. They're going to be on the receiving end of the fallout, like, or the ramifications of what AI is doing. And it's already doing it now. And so just to Joe's point there, it's okay, hey, look, we want to be on the forefront of that. Be the 20% that's actually utilizing it and finding use cases for it. But again, that means you have to play with it, right? Like you have to engage. Okay, hey, what else can I be doing with this right now? And this comes back to being like a lifelong learner, right? Because if you're just like, you know what, I've been doing the same thing the last 20 years, I'll just do it another 20 and retire. I'm like, and there's plenty of people out there that are like that I feel like that model just doesn't work anymore. Those people are going to be on the losing end of, what ends up happening. Hey, I was doing marketing for the last 20 years and we've been doing it the same way. I'm like, I was there. I used to put newspaper ads. You're talking about going old school, selling stuff on the radio. It's like, man, when I started, it's like the way we marketed real estate and whether we marketed deals was putting inexpensive ads in the local paper. That's just how and so much has changed over the last 20 years, man.
Can I jump into that for a second?
Go for it. Yeah.
So this is the power of AI. All right. Forget the medium where you're advertising. You could still put ads in the paper or whatever old school method you want. What are you saying in them? So you've got a 50-unit apartment building sitting at the corner of Main and Main, and within 3 miles or 5 miles or whatever your tenant-based trade area is, right? What's in there? Is there a Whole Foods? Are there a couple of gyms? Are there a number of businesses? Are there studios? Are there grade schools, preschools, daycare centers? What is in your trade area? Then you ask, it almost doesn't matter which one, but you could ask any of them, who is my 50-unit building, which is is all 2-bedroom apartments, has these amenities, whatever. You tell it everything, and it's sitting in this trade area. Who's my ideal tenant, and what should I put in my advertising to attract them? You couldn't do that on your own. You couldn't come up with that on your own. You might have an idea like, hey, hip, young, or single moms is the best, or young hipsters is the best. You might have an idea, but I'll bet you don't, or I'll bet you'll find something if you do that exercise that you didn't realize. Hey, in addition to those hipsters, traveling nurses are perfect for this because of this or that, or single moms because of the daycares and the schools that are highly rated and this. You might not know that. And then you can create multiple pieces. By the way, you don't create it. You say, this is great. Chat or Claude or Gemini. Now create multiple ads for me. This for those 3 targets on Facebook, create one on Instagram, create one on Twitter, wherever you're going to do it. You have it do it all for you. Now you're not just writing what you think is great copy for the general population. You're writing specific targeted ads that are speaking to very specific potential tenants. And then you know where you're reaching them, and you know that the most people that read this ad that's going to gravitate, like I might see it. I'm not a single mom. I'm going to blow right past that if it ends up on my page. I mean, get real specific and target people. But if it's just in general, I'm not going to gravitate towards that ad, but a single mom might. So are you missing all of that because you're not using AI? So Steve, your apartment building, your competitor isn't. Who do you think is going to get all the tenants?
Yeah.
And you're going to grow the rents. And they're going to all like living in an apartment complex together because they have the same common bonds and things they do. And next thing you know, you got little kids running around because it's in that scenario. So
actually, to your point there, I love that. And actually, to your point there, right? It's okay. Hey, look, like maybe that did work. Maybe a previous marketing channel did work. Okay, newspaper, cool. Like that was going to target to a specific demographic, right? Like earlier you were talking, okay, we want to hit they're coming to your radio station because you guys have the conservative platform, and they know the target demographic is between this age range and this age range. Guess what, guys? The marketing channels now are all the social media platforms. I'm not on TikTok. That's not my demographic. I'm not their target demographic, right? But again, if your avatar, right, like your client base is on TikTok, guess where you need to be, right? And this is where you can use the AI tools to do that. Hey, who's my ideal tenant for this, right? They have this, they make this amount of money. This is going to fit the best demographic for the unit mix that we have. Hey, where are these people, right?
Yep.
Where do
Now
I
you're
need to
getting it.
run ads?
My
Yeah.
rent is this. How much do they need to
Yes.
make? What kind of job do they probably have? Where should I reach them? Should I reach them on TikTok? Should I reach them on Facebook, on
Yeah.
LinkedIn? Exactly. Now you're getting it.
So powerful. Very
It's a
powerful.
thinking partner and no one's using it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Honestly, I will jump onto your podcast and I'm gonna tune in because
I apologize. Selfless.
no, again, we're about bringing value and providing value to the listeners. And I don't think that there is right now, I don't think that there is a higher value that we could have brought than other than talking about that and how people can incorporate it in their lives. Because again, we're talking about one specific use case, right? And there's so many different ways that you could use it into your everyday life. This is not just about business, right? But this is just, hey, we're talking real estate, we're talking shop here.
Planning
So
vacations. My family's all about it now. And they were like, oh, we tried this recipe. I'm like, did you ask ChatGPT how to improve that recipe? Or, hey, I've got all these ingredients. What kind of appetizer can I make for the holiday party? Here's 5 different options for you with all these ingredients. Like, it's a thinking partner. It's incredible.
Yeah,
it really needs to be the first thing you go to, whether it's, and that's the point of our podcast is we start with a lot of personal stuff because it's easier to get your mind around low hanging fruit, like planning a vacation or a recipe or health, tracking your health. You can create, in fact, I created my own medical board. I've got my own advisory board for business decisions. And guess who's on my board? They don't have to be alive. Ben Franklin's on my board.
Yep.
Marcus Aurelius is on my board. And by the way, some of the, along with Elon Musk and Warren Buffett and the whole slew of other guys, but who gives the best advice almost every time? Ben Franklin. That was amazing.
No, yeah, I know. It's a super cool thing is to think of, man, wow, just think of each one of these tools as, wow, you have a PhD that you can go reference, like a master's level, from experience that you can just draw from, right? And so don't overlook that. Joe, honestly, I really could talk to you all day about this kind of stuff, but so I will go check out your podcast. But people are curious, they want to know more about the self-storage, or they want to have the best channels to be able to reach out to you, connect with you. Where can they go?
Yeah, the best way to reach me is just my email. It's joe@belroseam.com. That's BELROSE, A as an asset, M as in management.com. I do reply. In fact, I get requests about how do I get into self-storage, or I've got a piece of dirt. Would it work for self-storage? Yeah, well, we'd help you out with that. We're open books and we love the business and we're educators. I'm not gonna trade 35 emails with you, but we'll get you in the right direction.
I might exchange one, and then, hey, you want to know more? You can join the course.
We might get a phone call after that, but yeah. No, seriously. In all seriousness, we're happy to help, and in all ways possible. We're open books and we're easy to get along with.
Awesome, super cool. Hey, Joe, thank you for taking time out of your day to come out and share value with the audience. I truly appreciate it. I enjoyed our conversation, and
Steve, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for hopping on with us. And here's to a very prosperous 2026 for you. May it be your best year yet. And so we'll look to circle back with you in the future and see where you guys are, not only with the self-storage, but I'd love to see, I think your entrepreneurial spirit with the AI component, man, I got a feeling the future is going to hold some different opportunities there for you too, as well. So we'd love to circle back.
I'm going to have an open mind and open eyes, and we'll see where it leads. So seriously, thanks for doing podcasts like this. Like I said earlier, I didn't have this 30 years ago, and guys like you are putting information out there and taking your time to do it. And I know this is not how you make money. Hopefully someday you do. But right. I think everyone take a second to appreciate guys like you. So you're really a tremendous benefit to the greater real estate investing community.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you so much. And blessings to you and your family. And like I said, have an awesome 2026. We'll circle back with you in the future and check in and see what you got going on. But thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on and bringing value to the audience and to me too. I appreciate it. All right. Awesome. Aloha. Awesome conversation with Joe Downs. Oh, they do self-storage. So of course, if you guys are curious and interested about learning about that, you can definitely check him out there. But he's got such a great take on life, on the entrepreneur's journey, building out your tool set. And of course, now they're using AI in such a powerful way as well. So definitely make sure that you're hitting him up, following them, and seeing how potentially you can partner with them, whatever that may look like. Guys, if you're interested in investing with us and partnering with us, you can go to tricityequity.com to learn more. If you're interested in connecting with local like-minded investors, hey, maybe you're coming out for vacation, maybe you're already on island, come join us at our group, Honolulu Multifamily and More. We meet up every month. So I'm sure whenever you're listening to this show, we've got another meetup coming right up. So we'd love to be able to connect with you. So find us on Eventbrite, find us on Facebook, on Bigger Pockets. We'd love to be able to connect with you, meet you in person. And of course, if you guys are finding value in the podcast, make sure that you're liking it and subscribing, you're sharing the episode. We want to continue to grow the channel. The only way we can do that is with your help. So subscribe, share. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. That's going to be it for me. Go out and have an amazing 2026. We're looking forward to this being your best year yet. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Aloha.